Well, let's put that question and others to Brad Thor, New York Times best-selling author. And he's got a new one, folks, and here it is on your TV screen, Foreign Agent. And it is a thriller, of course. There it is. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Steve. Good to see you again.
Welcome back. Good to see you. All right. You've been critical of Donald Trump, which we'll get to in a second, but what's your take on everything that has happened over the course of the last 4 days?
Well, I think you've got to be fair, and when good things are said, you've got to give people credit. This issue about putting a temporary ban on Muslim immigration, I actually think is a good thing, and it's something that I've been talking about since even before the primaries. The big problem the Obama administration has is that it curtails your rights, my rights. We're standing in longer lines for TSA. The metadata is being collected by the NSA, but no pressure is being put on Islamic countries. And there was a great article written a couple years ago that said we should put a ban on these countries so that good Muslim people who need to get here for their businesses and can't will then get angry at the radicals in their countries. They are the only ones. You and I can't fix Islam. We can't. There's been a reformation in Judaism, in Christianity, but not in Islam. Right. And only Muslim people can do that. Because so we need to pressure.
Because if you look at the early religious texts of Judaism and Christianity, talking about stoning, talking about other things, we don't do that.
Yeah, you plant two crops side by side. Right. We don't stone you. Two different cloths.
But your book and this latest one, a Foreign Agent, talks about terrorism out of control in Europe.
Yep.
Talks about the United States deciding to do something, and then it winds up in Washington. The CIA recruits this guy. It's a typical wonderful thriller that you've written so many of, and everybody should get it. It's Father's Day coming up, folks. A great gift too.
Thank you.
But here in this country, I mean, it's the antithesis of what this administration would do, because we see what's happening in Europe. This president didn't even go to San Bernardino. This president doesn't go to the funerals of foreign leaders that are friends of us. He's going to Orlando, but I could list who he didn't go to, Scalia and everybody else. But let's stick to terror. Why won't he say radical Islam? Why does he say that every idea that we have, that people come forth to fight ISIS, he says, oh, that's just what ISIS wants. And Hillary says the same thing.
You know, I had a friend or an acquaintance that went over and spent time with high-ranking members of the Israeli government. And they told her, they said, our problem with Obama is that he is incapable of seeing good and evil. He sees everything as victim and victimizer. Okay, so he's the ultimate community organizer who has found out the world is a very hard community to organize, as another pal of mine says. So they look at the Palestinians, they look at the Muslims as the victims in all of this, regardless how much. It's like the Michael Brown thing, right? Hands up, don't shoot, he was the victim, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But that's not what the facts bear out.
And plus, he grew up in a Muslim environment. He was raised a Muslim kid.
Yeah, well, he's got that experience in Indonesia. We know he went and spent some time in Pakistan. So he obviously has an affinity for the faith, which is not a bad thing. It's a bad thing when it prevents him from doing the work that needs to be done to keep you, me, and all of our fellow citizens safe.
Trump.
Yes, sir.
I mentioned that you were critical of him. One critique that got a lot of notice and got eventually Glenn Beck suspended from his radio show on Sirius, or at least from them broadcasting it on Sirius, were these remarks. Let's play them.
He is a danger to America, and I got to ask you a question, and this is serious. This could bring down incredible heat on me because I'm about to suggest something very bad. It is a hypothetical I am going to ask as a thriller writer. With the feckless, spineless Congress we have, who will stand in the way of Donald Trump overstepping his constitutional authority as president? If Congress won't remove him from office, what patriot will step up and do that if he oversteps his mandate as president, his constitutional granted authority, I should say, as president?
And then you went on to say that I don't think there's a legal means available. I think it will be terrible position the American people will be in to get Trump out of office because you won't be able to do it through Congress. A lot of people took that to mean that you were talking about having a patriot, as you put it, step up and shoot Donald Trump if he were president.
No, and that's not what it is. There was a hypothetical situation. That's my job. That's what I do. I come up with disastrous political and terrorism scenarios. I put those in my books. What I said was, if Congress won't remove him from office, what patriot will step up and do that? You would have a situation where Americans would have no legal means. There is nothing I know of besides impeachment to get. We're talking about a dictator, somebody that tears up the Constitution, says, I'm going to do what I want to do. So you've got American people who would stand against, but you'd need somebody to lead those American people, whether it's a General Mattis, whether it's a Rick Perry, whether it's a Jimmy Stewart that goes to Washington. You would need somebody to step up to lead, because that you'd be essentially leading a resistance to the President of the United States.
So it wasn't, because it's the second part where you said there is no legal means.
Impeachment's the only one I know
right,
of.
so if that's gone, when you said what patriot will step up, you didn't mean to take him out. You meant to lead what, like some kind of political revolt?
Some sort of revolt. You've got to do. You would now have American citizens fighting against their own president.
Right.
And by the way, the previous time I've been on Glenn Beck, I actually said I was concerned that the left, with all the crazy Black Lives Matter people that got people attacking cops, would get people to go after Trump,
Right.
and that I asked people to pray for the Secret Service and the Trump family. I understand how those comments could be interpreted by some, but it's a political Rorschach test.
So where do you stand on Trump now? You praised his ban proposal, but you said what you said in the past, so where are you today?
So here's where I am. I am a lifelong conservative. I believe in the Constitution. I don't hear Trump talking about the Constitution. I think he's a populist, a nationalist. I don't think he really is a conservative. So I have been praying for Trump to pivot and be that more presidential Trump. And I think what you see with Trump is what you're going to get. I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to the election.
But if you get in the booth and it's Hillary or Trump or a third party like Gary Johnson, or and one of those votes is probably for Hillary. I mean, you would opt for Hillary and three Supreme Court justices?
No.
Well, isn't that really the choice?
No, but here's what happens. What if Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the other Supreme Court justices hang on until the midterm elections and the Congress goes Democrat? Think about it. Nobody's talking about that. What if the Congress goes Democrat? And then Trump is faced with, do I really want to fight for real conservative people, or do I want to have a quick, easy confirmation? Nobody's talking about that one.
But so if the election was today, who would you pull the lever for?
I guess I'd probably have to write in somebody or pull it for Gary Johnson. I don't know. I don't like Trump. I don't like Hillary. But guess what? You don't have to worry. I live in Tennessee. It's deep red, and my vote doesn't matter.
All right.
So you're all right.
Let's try to get one phone call in here before Brad has to leave, and we go to Bob from Bend, Oregon. Hello, Bob.
Yes. How you doing?
Good, sir. What can we do for you?
I just watched Obama talk about the Constitution and how when it works for him, he's all behind it. But as soon as you bring up the Second Amendment, him and Hillary are both ready to just jump on it and take it. And anytime there's a mass shooting, they try to use that, and they say it's the largest. But technically, I know we're going back in time, but the worst one was back when our own government and our cavalry massacred the Indians.
Well,
don't forget,
Bob, don't forget, Barack Obama had called the Constitution a flawed document. So you
set of negative liberties, he called it.
Yes, before he was ever president. You make a good point, Bob. I thank you. Maybe we could get Randall from Scranton, Kansas. Not see, how'd you fooled? You thought you could say PA. Hello, Randall. What's up?
Hi, Steve. I just wanted to say that if people would do their research on the Muslim religion, they would find out that, and you don't have to believe me, you can check into it, that Muhammad, which was the founder of the Muslim religion, led with the sword. And ISIS is actually doing what they're supposed to do.
Let Brad weigh in.
This is actually a great point, because I've said that if Muhammad came back and gave out trophies for the best practitioners of Islam, it would be ISIS. It would be Al-Qaeda. They are fundamentalists. It's like radical Islam. No, they're fundamentalists. They're practicing the religion exactly the way Muhammad wanted to practice.
Even throwing the gays off the high buildings, as many say it says in the Quran. Brad Thor, the book, ladies and gentlemen, Foreign Agent, a thriller. Hello, my friend. Goodbye, my friend. It was too quick. I'm sorry it was so quick, but we'll speak to you again soon. Brigitte Gabriel is next, and your phone calls don't go away.